it's like, um, I'll be trying to make this shit as simple as possible because I'm not a preacher, but I'm saying I'm very much for God, and I still, um, I feel like in some instances I'm a little more effective than a preacher because they be trying to make it seem like you gotta be this um, angel that ain't never did shit before in order to serve God or be for God. When it's like you only think what you think about a preacher based on what you don't know about them as well. So it's like, that's the shit I can't get with because it's like people feel like they can't do anything for God because they're not the type of person God could use based on the criteria that they have created, or just people of church and people of, I'm not a Christian either, but I'm saying people of Christianity and these organized religions, who you have to be in order to be effective and useful to God. When it's like, that's weird that people and man has all of these requirements, and they have all of these all this criteria and shit that you need to have to serve God, when it's like, you're not God though. So it's like, how would you know God's specific specifications on who and what could serve him? How would you know that? And then it's like, I be meeting preachers that's against this shit, and that don't even make sense to me. Like, how is a preacher who is supposed to be someone of God and someone who is supposed to be on the side of God, how are they against another person of God? That doesn't make sense to me. So it's like, I can't even take them serious based on how they be moving with a nigga, based on their truth. But they're the people that at one point in time, like when I was a kid, I looked at preachers as being like highly commendable men that were like, I ain't gonna say perfect, but I'm saying I felt like if somebody was perfect, they was the closest thing to it. Just based on, I seen somewhat of a good example as a kid, like the pastor that I grew up watching. Like, he wasn't like one of them flashy preachers, and dude didn't live above his means, but he kept it real about his past and how his life was pretty fucked up before he came to be a preacher. So it's like, he told you that he was into drugs and alcohol and shit heavy, but he didn't live like excessive or luxurious as a preacher. And I respected that about him. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying he's supposed to be poor because he's a preacher, but I'm saying some of these preachers be living good as hell. And I ain't saying they wrong either, because at the end of the day, it's a job like every other job, and they gotta get paid, and they got a lifestyle and all of that, and family and shit to take care of too. So it's like, I'm not saying they have to be poor, but I'm just saying some of these dudes be, I ain't knocking them, but I'm just saying, some of these niggas be living like rappers and shit, and their congregation not doing the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, the preacher that I grew up watching, dude wasn't rich. His life was okay, but it wasn't like, he wasn't living like super good either. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, he would tell you that he didn't make his salary. He hadn't made his salary as the preacher there in a while because people weren't giving. People weren't giving. They weren't giving. They weren't giving people weren't giving an offering enough to pay him his salary. So he'll tell you that, like, basically being frustrated with the offering not being enough for him to basically make his paycheck. You know what I'm saying? Like, he'll put you on it. He'll say that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, I just respected that he wasn't one of them, like, lavish living ridiculously good while the members of his congregation ain't living like that. So it's like, I just respected that he lived a somewhat modest life, and he kept it real about his life before being saved and being a preacher and coming to God and all that shit. Like, I just respected that, because it's like most people don't share the down before the up. You know what I'm saying? They just share you. They tell you about their life after God cleaned it up. They don't show you or be real with you about the life they had before God cleaning their life up and fixing it for them. And it's like, that's the shit that annoys me about these church people. They just act like their life has just always been, I ain't gonna say their life perfect now, but I'm saying like their life is just being this good picture that you see now as the person they have came to be. Like, come on, my nigga. Like, everybody done been through something before getting to where they are. And it's like, now that they're there, they want to try to point the finger at a motherfucker like, you can't, you can't have anything wrong with you for God to still use you. And that's the shit that irritates me about these church people and all of these people who claim to be for God. It's like, it'd be weird, like all this conquering divide within the church community and people who claim to all be for the same purpose. I don't rock with that. I said what I said. It's all sort of shit.